chapter 2, verses 15 through 20. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what they had been told about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. And Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told them.
One of the best parts about Christmas in my family is leftovers. My wife's family, growing up with a pastor father, was appetizers for Christmas Eve. You never knew when somebody was going to get called in early to the church because some decoration fell apart or a volunteer couldn't do something or the sound system crashed. Who knew what Christmas Eve was really going to look like? So they did appetizers, and they could munch all day, and then when they got back from church, they could pull them out and eat some more. We have a tradition now in our family of keeping the appetizers on Christmas Eve and then using sausage balls, usually left over from the appetizers, along with cinnamon rolls or cinnamon goop, beautiful little bread pudding stuff, for Christmas morning breakfast. Always more than we can eat. Then we have my mom's tradition of ham and then potatoes cooked in the juices from the ham. I can walk through that process for you all later if you want. Always more than we can eat. And that doesn't even include the takeout that a minister's family, with two of us as ministers, that we've been building up the week before Christmas. As you can imagine, that last week of Advent, there's not a lot of cooking in our house. We're too busy getting everything else ready and everything else done. So in our refrigerator, when you add in all the other goodies that have been baked, delivered, and shared, there's at least appetizer leftovers, breakfast leftovers, ham and potato, peas and slaw, all the things that go with it leftovers. And you can add to that Thai pizza and a half a burrito at any moment between Christmas and New Year's. The leftovers tend to carry us every year into a new year. That means there's a lot in our fridge, and we stand there a lot. Stand there staring at it, going, what do we have to eat? There's so much. It's like a Tetris of Ziplocs and Tupperware and dishes, all stacked in a 3D puzzle. And we find ourselves standing there asking, what's safe to move? What's the oldest thing? What should we eat first? What are you in the mood for? The questions, what are you looking for? And what have you found? Are regularly asked, standing the gaping open refrigerator door. As we reflect on today's scripture, I want us to spend a little time with the leftovers. We've already heard about Mary and the visit from Gabriel, from the angel. Joseph's had his angelic visit too. Elizabeth and Zachariah had their own miracle baby while hiding Mary out at their house. Eventually, Mary and Joseph make the trek from Nazareth to Bethlehem to be counted in the census, to be taxed by the empire. We've all been there. Then last week, we got to hear about the shepherds. They get their own band of angels, and they're invited to go and see this Messiah that's been born. Well, today we get the rest of the story, which is honestly kind of the leftovers. The baby's been born. The news has been delivered. The angels have all gone back to bed. They're wiped out from all the Christmas celebration, all the announcing, the preparing, the telling. Everyone now is just sitting around afterwards. They're just hanging out. I mean, there's only so long you can go, oh, yay, we have guests. Hospitality eventually becomes comfortability. There's only so long you can go, oh, look, it's a new baby. It's still a new baby. He's still there. He's still cooing. We can pass the baby around, but the news is over. The story has unfolded. Now we're all just hanging out, probably eating some leftovers. Eventually, there's a moment you're just there. There's a moment, and then it passes, and we're just there. But these extra verses, this after party, if you will, it has some really great leftovers in it. The shepherds in our verses today talk to those with them about what the angel told them. How often have you sat around and shared experiences with people about what the angel told each of you to make sure you got the same story? Okay, maybe not an angel, but how many of you sat around to talk about your cousin to make sure they gave you all the same story? Or to make sure mom's getting everything right and she's got it all together these days? Or to catch up on the person who's not there and see what each person knows about them, that we might piece it together. The shepherds talk about what they were told by the angels, and it says that everyone there was amazed. All who were there were amazed. All? Who's the all? It doesn't say Mary and Joseph were amazed. It says all who were there. We know that the magi, the wise guys, the kings, they're not there yet. They come to the house later. No one else is mentioned in the Gospels. No drummer boy is actually in the scripture. Heck, there aren't even animals listed in the scripture. That's all our nativity building. So who is all? Let's think about it for a minute. If there's an inn, and they were told there's no room for you in the inn, but we have this barn outside. There's a barn connected to an inn, it's full of people. Then there were staff. There were staff who told them there wasn't room. There were staff who probably thought it was better to give the room to the young couple instead of the cranky old person that checked in earlier. There were probably staff who thought, why are we not getting people to share their rooms to make room for this family? There were staff at the inn. There were also other people there. Everyone was coming to town for the census. Everyone was gathering back in their hometowns to be registered as Rome required. So they weren't the only travelers of the Jewish community coming back to this traditional Jewish town. This town where David called home, that Ruth and Naomi came back to together. This town was such a rich Jewish history. Surely there were others in the inn thinking, why do we have a room and not that couple? Let's go check on them. This community that has a history of hospitality and care, surely. And on top of that, have you seen people with babies? There's a baby out in the barn. Let's go see it. Who else was there? There's no telling how many people the baby drew. And the shepherds tell them their story. They're all sitting around hanging out. Yay, we've seen the baby. Yay, this is the Messiah. What do you mean? Well, we had some angels come and visit us. Well, what did they tell you? Well, let's tell you. Well, you know, my name's Joseph, and I had an angel come and talk to me too. Wow, Mary, you're the mom. Did you know this? Well, I kind of had an angel too. The conversation is taking place. This after party, this conversation, the verses of leftovers. All who saw this really pregnant girl being kept out and went to see what was going on. All who heard a baby cooing or crying or giggling. Everyone in the neighborhood who might have caught on to something or just wondered what the crowd was all about. Heck, anybody else that got an angel that didn't tell us about it. It says there wasn't room from the inn. Didn't say they were ignored. It says there wasn't a room for them. It didn't say that people didn't make space in their evening to go see a newborn. These leftovers invite us to reimagine the nativity scene. We have it boxed in and packaged We have it on our shelves. We have it in yards. We have it in churches reenacted. But who all was there? Who all was amazed at the shepherd's story? Are there mothers and grandmothers from the community who are coaching Mary as a first-time mom? Probably. Were there fathers and grandfathers supporting Joseph in such a strange place to be a new dad? Are there staff providing bands of cloth in which to wrap the baby? Are there other travelers feeling guilty about the room they got? Who all was there? Who was amazed at the shepherd's story? All right, and now time for a little more leftovers. You ready? Today's reading ends with the shepherds going home and praising God for all they had seen and all they had heard. They had seen the baby, we can get that. But all they had heard? What did the shepherds hear? Who was talking that amazed the shepherds? Was it Mary sharing her story? Did she re-sing the lullaby of the Magnificat? Did she sing the baby to sleep and others recognize it as Hannah's song and join in? Did they all sit around and argue over which verses and which words their mother used when they sang that song? Who all was amazed by the shepherds? But who were the shepherds amazed by? Who was talking? Who was sharing? Did Mary tell them about Gabriel and her miracle? Did Joseph tell them about angels and the choices he had to make? Did others have visits and dreams that brought them to this place that we just don't have shared with us? It seems that Matthew and Luke only got portions of the story. There are conversations left out that amazed. There was sharing that sent people home praising God. And Mary pondered all these things in her heart. Maybe the best of the leftovers in there. These words come to us as an invitation today. Don't just listen to the story and close the book until next Advent or Christmas. Don't just hear the story and give thanks that it's Christmas time again. Instead, listen to everything everyone shares. Tell what's been going on in your own life so that others might receive the good news of what God has been doing with you. Share your own worries, your own challenges, your own conundrums. God knows Joseph had his. Heck, even the shepherds going in, they probably didn't own those sheep. They had to make a decision. Shepherds usually worked for somebody. Do we leave the sheep? Do we leave one young kid with the sheep? Do we take turns going? Do we take all the sheep through town with us? What do we do? There's ethical decisions at every point of the Christmas story. We can share ours with each other too. And we can ponder what it all might mean to us, to each other, what it might mean to our community, what it might mean to our world. Ponder what it all might mean. Keep going back to the story. Keep going back to the fridge. Go back for your stories, your questions, your longings. We've been asking this question all through Advent. What have you been longing for? We explored some potential answers. We talked about hope, peace, joy, and love. As we tried on those answers for longing, as we thought about what our own hearts are longing for and tried on those different lenses, what bubbled up for you? What still pokes at you, pulls at you like the tide? And what have you found? What's different for you this Christmas? Did you find a new sense of purpose? Or have you just discovered the old one's not really working anymore? Did you discover a new passion? Or have you just realized that yours have all been put on simmer? Have you found something you can hold on to? Or have you found a mystery that you still feel the need to unravel? Have you found some hope, peace, joy, or love that we've talked about? Or have you simply discovered how much you really want to work for them in the year to come? What have you found? What's different this Christmas? Now, don't worry, it's not too late. Christmas is a symbolic season to talk through ideas. We can recreate it at any moment. We can go through this process of listening, sharing, and pondering at any time. It's not too late. Don't worry that you're too young. Don't worry that you're too old. Don't worry about what's missing. Don't worry about how hard things might be. Just take time to listen and be amazed. Take time to share and take it in when others are amazed at what's going on with you. And ponder what it all might mean. What have you found? What is different for you this Christmas? What is unresolved? What is left to be done? What question is calling your name? Share, listen, ponder. And as you do, what are you treasuring in your heart?